So, what are you doing right now?
Well, right now I am putting on my boxing shoes and getting ready for training.
And, to you, why is training so important?
Well, training is really... Why is training important? I don't know so much of that, training is as important to me right now as it is that it's fun. Right now is more of exercising is what I've been doing. So as far as training goes, I don't have any sparring partners or anything like that. So right now, I don't have a fight or anything coming up. So training is keeping sharp. It's, practicing the craft, harnessing it, doing the same thing over and over again, and just making it as close to perfection as you get. But even then, as close to perfection as I get, even though I'm nowhere close to perfection, it makes it, at least in my head, that perfection is farther away the closer I get to it. And that is what makes it entertaining, and that's what makes it a lot more fun.
Okay, let it be known, I'm working hard when I ain't on the phone. This ain't a home, this ain't a phone. Grind never stopping, I'm keeping it cold. Unlocking the door with the holy key. You supposed to be this close to me, and hopefully you understand G.O.D. Maybe this cold and I'm talking like no degrees. This ain't a fluke, I seen it way before it ever happened. He gave me the view, I had to put in my time on the TV, it coming in soon. I couldn't leave it all up to a variant or an experience. You gotta get up and do what it do. So complicated, homie, it's you. Always gonna wait until you in the mood. I've been running, came out gunning, stop the fronting on your word. It's what you hear, not what you heard. I'ma hang on every verb, I'ma show you what it's worth. Every day I'm on the earth till they put me in the dirt. I'ma get into it first. Said I'ma get into it first. Until they put me in the dirt. Said I'ma get into it first. Said I'ma get into it. I can't break, that's the thing about me.
Like, for example, right? I do 8 rounds, right? 8 2-minute rounds a day. And I'll do them in the sun. And sometimes, on, the 8 rounds, the first 8 rounds or whatever, on Monday, it's really good, really easy. I'm wearing like a tank top and I'm, just kind of doing my thing. And then, the next day I might wear just a t-shirt and then shorts. And then the next day I might go ahead and put some, sweater weather on, some sweatsuits and shit like that. And it makes it harder, and the 8 rounds is always getting harder in sections, but then I'll add something to it to make it even harder. So I might get good at 8 rounds, right? I might get good at 8 rounds in a tank top, but I am not good at 8 rounds in a t-shirt. And then I'm really not good at 8 rounds in a hoodie, or 2 hoodies. And now I'm not good at 8 rounds, if I go and run, 3 miles before I jump in and start doing that 8 rounds. So there's always, a better 8 rounds that I can be. And that is what the training is that, the training makes it to where you're always getting better at those 8 rounds that you're gonna have to fight. So hopefully you're better than the guy across from you. Well, filming and my boxing career. With how it was originally, I was a workaholic psychopath. What I would do is I would train twice a day and I would write pretty much every time I wasn't training. And it put a lot of hardship on my previous relationship back when I was doing all that. And it was just constantly working. If I wasn't writing something or, setting something up or reaching out to somebody or, focusing somewhere or drawing concept or whatever I was doing for film, if I wasn't doing that, then I was usually punching a bag or getting punched in the face or, doing push-ups in the bedroom. I was doing something no matter what. And it was always about me. And coming out here and, living with my family again and getting to kind of get some sense back into my life, back in my head, it's a love-hate and balanced relationship, And so the boxing now, and especially the boxing I was preparing for the movie, it was not all consuming, and neither was the filming. I have a job on the outside, I have animals, I have a family, I've had relationships that I've been able to work through and kind of deal with, as I'm filming and as I'm boxing again. And it's just because now I balance it out. I take my time, I do my things. I go, you know what, on this day and this day and this day, this is what's going to be done. And then on this day and this day and this day, this is what's going to be done. And no matter what, the beast will get fed. You know, I'll take care of whatever I need to take care of. But now I'm doing it in a way that's comfortable. And that's basically the whole point of how I feel right now, is I just feel comfortable. And I'm excited to just keep moving forward.
So, in your current state of mind, you are content with kind of how your life is going right now, or are you like super ambitious on what you can do?
I'm definitely not content. I'm comfortable in the progress that I'm making, you know, but don't get that wrong with how hungry I am. I am starving as an artist. I'm starving as an athlete. I want nothing more than right now, today, to go and sell a movie script or jump on a film set, and then tonight go and fight 3 people. I want that more than anything. And it is a very anxious place to live, which is why I have to find some solace in the progress of it. You know, I mean, one of the biggest things that has really helped me as I'm moving through in both of my careers and both of my passions is every day, every second, I'm getting closer. And I need to enjoy now. You know, I need to enjoy every bit of this as it goes, because the fact of it is, I'm never going to live here again. I'm never going to be able, if things were to work out, if things were to really work out, I would never be able to go out and box in the backyard with no eyes on me, nobody judging me, nobody concerned about me, and just freely get to play in the sport that I love. And yeah, I don't have any sparring partners. Yeah, I don't have any big fights coming up. Yeah, I don't have any money in the bank. Yeah, I don't have any of the things that would be happening if I was, you know, where I want to be in the boxing world. But the thing is right now I need to enjoy, even as much as I want that. I want that so bad. Even as much as I want it, I need to enjoy the fact that I have a little bit of peace and I can just enjoy the art of what I'm doing, which is the same way I treat these movies. I do want a bigger budget, but you know what? This is really unique, and I don't have nobody breathing down my neck telling me what I can and cannot film and what I can and cannot do.
Well, since I don't really know how to talk about being a writer, you know, it didn't show what I guess that is. I rather not show sitting on his laptop on the toilet trying to come up with a scene. So we'll just show some more boxing. But don't get a mistaken, this is definitely about me, the writer. You're gonna have to excuse the smoking. It helps me think a little bit clearer when I'm nervous. But yeah, I've been writing since I was 6 years old. My dad, he was always a storyteller. He really liked to talk about history, and I've always been super into history. And so I remember when I was a little kid, you know, I wrote stories all the time. I constantly writing stories. And a lot of those stories people didn't like. Being a scriptwriter it's a lot different. And I mean, in my experience, because I've written pretty much every kind of writing that you can do. I've written technically, I went to college, I experienced a lot of different styles there, but I've always been interested in trying to see if I could do it, you know, because writing was always something that came naturally. You know, boxing, cinematography, directing, acting, all those things were not so natural. I had to work hard to learn how to do those things. But with writing, I always understood structure. I always understood how to tell a story. I always understood, you know, what to do with characters. And someone was asked me, you know, what makes a good story? And there's a quote that said it best. I cannot remember who said it for the life of me. I get punched in the head a lot, so I don't remember a lot of faces or names. But what it is what makes a good story. Oh, it was Taika Waititi, I think that's who said it. What makes a good story is interesting things happening to interesting people. And that was always something that really I understood. You know, I didn't always have the words to describe it like that. I mean, that's the best. You know, I couldn't have said it better. But it's that's what happens. You know, so these stories of, you know, the everyman, these stories of this, you know, there was always something I tried to kind of stay away from, and I wanted to create worlds. I wanted to do things that were different, and I wanted my characters to stand out, so that you would say, you know, yeah, Zane made that. And so a lot of times that has been kind of a bad thing, in a way, because I try to be so different sometimes that it doesn't really stick, or, you know, I just be myself, and the story is a lot darker than, you know, most people, you know, have a taste for. And so as I've grown, and as I've, you know, furthered into my professional career, and I've, you know, been nominated, and I won an award, and on top of that, one of my most prized achievements is a quarterfinalist position in a screenplay festival. It was just huge, you know, because it was finally something that that showed that I was good at this, you know, that this one thing that I've always had this confidence in, it wasn't false, you know, that it just took somebody seeing it, you know, it just took somebody who appreciated that style to see it. And I've had to change that style as I've gone on to adapt, because the one thing is I want to do this as a career. I mean, this is what I love to do. This is what I do. I'm a storyteller. Whether it's I'm telling a story, you know, in a movie theater, or I'm telling a story through a book that you're reading on these pages, you know, or telling a story by, you know, what you said you saw when I was in the ring the other night, and, you know, whether I kicked his ass or didn't kick his ass. I love stories. I always have loved stories. And so telling stories as a career is top notch for me. That's the goal. You know, being the biggest storyteller to ever live, or any of that kind of crap, you know, that's not the most important thing. I just want to be able to feed my family and live my life and pay my bills by making stuff. I don't think that's too much to ask, but it's hard. So I've had to adapt to try to survive and try to get into the industry and make myself worthy of a paycheck. And it's actually been reading that's helped that so much. I mean, I was never too much of an avid reader, but as things have gone on, I've changed that. And I, you know, of course, started with fiction. It was just like, I just want cool stories, and, you know, what's the next Gardens of the Galaxy book? Crap, whatever. But then I started reading nonfiction. Started reading about the industry. I started reading about real stories, and it's changed to where I've now delved out of my comfort zone in my writing and in my creating. And right now I have my first ever comedy. I've never really written a comedy script before. I've written funny stuff, but nothing like this. And this has by far been the script that has gained me the most interest out of 8 years of work. And it's all because I finally have accepted that I'm a writer. And for the first time in my life, I don't feel bad about saying that anymore. And I'm actually really proud to call myself that. And it's a piece of me that I really didn't enjoy. And it was something that, you know, I knew I was going to have to talk about when I, you know, agreed to do this. And it's been a real eye-opener. And I'm just, every day I can't wait to write the next thing.
I feel like I share this way too much in this thing. It's a little uncomfortable. Who is the lucky devil? Why the lucky devil? Well, obviously, you know, just to state the obvious, I did. Yeah, it's tattooed on me. And it does define me. It's one of the most important things in my life that I've discovered a little bit later on. And it's something that I live my life by now. And so, a little bit to explain that, you know, people get tattoos that mean something to them. And a lot of people get, these tattoos that remind them, to be a certain way, or, of a certain event or a certain person or whatever. And sometimes it can be pretty cliche. I'm definitely no stranger to judging people based on that. I judge myself on a lot of my own tattoos, if we're being honest. But when I first got here, as my younger brother made so obvious, and it's a well-known fact, I had just just started getting into the recovery from my first heartbreak. I'd been in a relationship for almost 6 years, and things just did not work out, and I ended up losing absolutely everything. And a lot of it was my fault, and a lot of it was because I refused to see the truth for what it actually was. I was so focused on my career and on what I wanted to do that I just blamed everybody else, and I blamed everything. It was always about, poor me. It's always I'm so unlucky. This is so bad. I mean, every little thing I do, there's always a negative side to it. And I expected a lot of, the negativity. And it was given it. I think, I called it on myself as far as the universe is concerned. And so a lot of my life has been, riddled with hardship, and some of it has been my fault, and a lot of it has been my own fault. But one of the biggest things that I realized when I came here was that there had to be a change. There had to be a mindset change, and I needed to grow up. I had given myself so much as far as focus that I didn't have any room for anybody else. Yet instead, I not only had an animal to take care of, at the time I had a relationship that I needed to take care of. I had friends and other stuff, and it just let all those things fall apart just because I wanted this so bad and I wanted it yesterday. And I wasn't enjoying any of my life. I was just grinding, work. And it didn't get me anywhere. It did get me somewhere, but it didn't get me nearly as far as when I finally got here. And when I got here, I opened my eyes for the first time really ever in my life to what was going on with other people. And I saw my mother and her struggles. I saw my brother and his problems. I saw my father. I saw all these different people in my life that I just kind of pushed off to the side, just whatever, it is what it is, and I'm going to focus on me, and then, when I'm successful, I'll buy him a Bugatti or something, whatever fucking dream I had. When I got here and I realized that there was something that I could do, that all of my selfishness and all of my obsession into my own personal interests that had destroyed my relationship and eventually shattered my heart was useful. I could do something. And if you follow anything that I do, you can see me and my mother's relationship and the educational stuff that she has done. I've been able to help with that. And we have been able to create things that I never would have done before. I've been able to experience more positive in my life from these negative things. So obviously that means that the lucky devil, is taking the good with the bad. But that means more to me than anything, especially now as I go forward in my life. And it's what defines me and what I choose to define me. Because as bad as things get, I'm always lucky to be the one it's happening to. But doing this, especially this project right here, it means a lot to me. Not because it's me. Honestly, it's a little awkward. I don't like to talk about myself, and I'm exposing my life at a really shitty part, place, a really, really crappy little spot that I'm in. Just to be honest, with my life and the way it is now, I've worked super, super hard for about 8 years. I've made tons of different movies, worked with tons of different people. I've delved into all different kinds of art and just bathed myself in creation. And I've been able to be celebrated in parts and not so much in other parts, but I was able to make a feature film about what I enjoy and what I find interesting in the sport of boxing. That to me, that whole film and being able to play that character was just such a gift.
even though cutting that weight was insanely difficult and playing that character was insanely difficult and uncomfortable. And yeah, 90% of those punches were real. And no, it didn't hurt. And honestly, God, it was kind of fun. I miss it even right now. But so much of that film right there was real. And it was me pouring out my heart and my soul and me pushing it to the absolute limit. And I got to experience a character that I will tell you, if anybody else ever forgets it, I won't. I enjoyed it. As hard as it was and as tough and challenging as that was. You know, every project I've worked on now, no, they haven't really gone anywhere crazy. No, they haven't done anything. And, you know, it might just be the timing, but right now nobody gives a shit about them. Except a few people, and you know what? Those few people, they mean the world to me. And I'm glad that I made them. And I'm hopeful to be able to continue to work forward towards it. I'm hopeful to move past that. But right now, there's not much going on with all that blood, sweat, and tears that, you know, you see scroll past, you know, your feed. And one day that'll change. And like I said, this whole thing, this whole series is delving into taking the good with the bad. It's delving into this point in my life where the chips are down. You know, there's a lot of work going into this stuff and not a lot of reward. And I mean, currently here I am, actually going through my second heartbreak. That's some crazy shit. 2 heartbreaks in 2 years. There's just so much to life, and there's so many bad things that can be happening. But man, are they making some awesome stuff. I mean, this situation that I'm going through right now, you know, that you guys are going to see, and it's just more of me just exposing myself to judgment and all that kind of stuff. But this right here, and this problem that I've had, and this unfortunate outcome of something, you know, very dear to me, is why I wrote that comedy. And it's why the ball is rolling. So hopefully, you know, so in giving this to you and showing you this part in my life, which I'm sure later on in life I'll regret sharing. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But in giving this to you, no matter where you are in life, keep pushing. No matter how hard things are, keep going. I have blamed so many people for all of my problems. I have given up so many times. And no, I can't say, hey, it's going to work out, and I know from experience that it's going to work out. I can't tell you that. But what I can tell you is that if you don't go for it, if you don't just try, you'll never know if it does work out. And for me, the anticipation, finding out if it's worth it or not, it's something pretty exciting.
Sitting in my favorite chair, thinking about my least favorite thing about you.
Music in the morning it's a ritual, and it's something that I found more and more important as time's gone on. I always had this gut feeling, and I've always been untrusting of it. caused a lot of issues in my life. And so, I'd say, as far as examples go, back when I was a kid, I'd have these moments where I would feel something in my gut, and my gut would tell me to do something, and or I'd hear a song. Like that was common. I'd hear this song, and it would get a feeling and get a vibe and get something that goes on, and I would just go, oh, okay, that's cool. That's kind of coincidental, and that would pertain to pretty much anything. And sometimes it pertained to soccer games. Back when I was in high school playing soccer, I would hear a song, and it would be like, you guys we're gonna rock this, blah, 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 we're gonna do it crazy, whatever. And it would work, and that game we would show up. And then other ones, I'd hear a song or catch a feeling, and usually it came with a song, and it was, you're not gonna do so hot, and sure enough, we didn't do so hot. But me, I was never a very superstitious person, so I didn't believe any of that kind of shit, actually worked. Well, as things went on, I went into combat sports. I went to this place called BFS. And BFS was a boxing gym. It was the only boxing gym that I really knew of and that knew had a good reputation. And at the time, I was living out of my car. I was starving. And I was 18 years old, and I just wanted to fight no matter what. And I remember seeing BFS, and I was like, oh, okay, that might be a good spot. And then I turn on the radio or whatever. I think I was shuffling through songs. And Roy Jones Jr., his song Can't Be Touched. You got to look it up. It's a good song. It came up, and I was like, okay, I'm going to follow it. That sounds about right. When I went to that gym, there was not many. There was a lot of good things that happened. A lot of things that made me who I am today. And that's why I think that song was so important. And why following my gut was such a good thing to go there. Because when I went there, the coach did not like me at all. And there's a story in Cut that is absolutely true. And what happened was, he told me that I wasn't going to be sparring for 5 to 7 months. And I was like, there's no way. I was like, $85 a month, I'm starving, I'm paying all this money, I don't even eat most of the time. I was like, there's no way. I'm going to be sparring faster than that. Because I need to get on the team. He had a boxing team. I was like, no matter what, I need to get on that team. And so, the scene that played out was every day I would ask the pros to spar him. Every single day. I walk in, I go, hey, Brandy, hey, whoever, let me spar you. I go, kid, you're crazy, I'll ask him. And they would ask him, and he would say, no. And this was going on, since day one. And then he would tell me, fix this. I'd have whatever problem in my game that he saw fixed by the end of that class. Even if we only had 30 minutes left, I took it so seriously. And then when I ended up eventually being able to go back home, I trained twice a day. I'd train at 4 in the morning, sometimes 5 in the morning, most times 5 in the morning. And then I would go because I went to college. Yeah, I did go to college around that time, Jesus. I went to college, and which is all the way up in Denver. And then I would come home, and I would train there, and I'd get my ass kicked. And what basically happened was, this one day, doing jump rope in front of the whole class, right? And I asked Brandon before I start, I said, hey, can I spar you? And he goes, I'll ask him. So I'm jump roping, and the coach walks up, gets face to face with me. And he goes, you don't spar unless I tell you to spar. You're not ready for this. He's going to kill you. Don't you ask to spar. If you ask to spar, I'm kicking you out of this gym. And all this shit. And he tells us, the whole class goes silent. Everybody's just watching him just berate me. And he storms off. As soon as he walked away, I turned, I walked right up to Brandon, I think it was Marcus. And I went, you got to let me spar. I was like, guys, can we get? And they were like, you're crazy. I was like, hey, he's so mad, he's going to do it because he wants to watch me get my ass kicked. He wants my $85. There's no way he doesn't. So he let me spar. And he let me get my ass kicked a lot. And I did better than he figured I would. And I learned a lot. But there was so many things that I was missing in my game that I look back at now and I'm like, God, I really wish I would have just known what a slip was. I mean, that would have been really helpful, and probably helped out with some, brain stuff later on. But from there, we had a falling out, but I injured my shoulder. That was where I initially injured my shoulder. I threw this left hook, I missed completely, and I felt something go. And then I just kept going on it because he came up to me and he said, I'm putting a team together. And then he walked away. And I looked at, Brandon, and he was like, hey, that's a good sign. And I was like, he's like, you should keep going. I'm like, I'm going to be on this team. I'm going to be fighting. I'm going to be winning, and I'm going to be able to get out of this homelessness situation that I'm in. We ended up having a falling out, and then I went to cage fighting. I went to this one other gym. It's a good gym, for the most part. But I met one of my best friends ever. I love the guy. His name's Marcus. He's actually the dude that broke my nose in the competition and choked me out, beat the hell out of me. But he's a really good dude, and we loved each other. And we trained hard, and he was good. And so when I went there, I followed the same kind of ritual. I was driving by, and some song was playing about something. I can't remember what that one was, but it was just a good vibe, and it was something that was like, you need to go and do this. And that's when I saw it says MMA. So I went, okay, I got to go. So I went in, and I ended up, applying and jumping in and getting it. And I sucked at jiu-jitsu. I was good at stand-up, but I sucked at jiu-jitsu. And as things were going, I got better and better. Went to some competitions, went through some other shit, got ready to compete. And there was a fight in Montana. And it was going to be $500, win or lose, I think. And so I had to go from 160 to 145, because back then I could eat. So I went, okay, so I stopped eating. I remember clearly, and this is the important part of this story, I remember clearly listening to a lot of songs that were not so good, and I put them on shuffle or whatever playlist, and usually it would play these songs that were not very hot. And I ignored them. I kept going, I kept pushing it. Well, as I got to 145, because I made it to 145, pretty much the day I made it to 145, I got told, hey, there is no 145er, there is only a 135er. I was already dead in the water. But I was like, okay, I'll go on the peanut diet, which is 3 handfuls of peanuts a day. I'll cut muscle, cut whatever I got to cut. And on the drive up to Montana, I'm going to sit in a buttload of blankets and, some trash bags, and I'm going to spit. And they might have to carry me and set me on that damn weigh scale, but I'm going to weigh in. I'm going to hit that 135, and then whoever the hell gets put up in front of me at 135 is not walking out. I'm winning. There's no way I'm going through all this without winning. I developed so many problems from that. I got a headache that I never got rid of. I mean, just issues with my body that was such a bad cut. And on the training the week before we were about to go, I heard this song, and God, I don't know why I can't remember these songs. I heard this song, and it was a clear warning. I was not listening, and I just went in anyways. I ended up getting my lay roll torn in my shoulder. Career's done. Career's over. Heartbreaking. It destroyed a lot of things in me. I've been so close. I was right there. I was about to get my opportunity to start this. I was gonna get $500. When you don't have $500, that's a lot of money, and that's a big deal. And I was going to get it doing something I loved, but it didn't happen. So depression rose. I got super fat. Relationship went to shit. Things just went haywire. And so I took jobs that I shouldn't have taken. I did things I shouldn't have done. It was just a really bad period in my life. And then when I got here, after everything completely collapsed, because that was pretty much the catalyst. And then when everything collapsed, I started listening to the music, and I started really paying attention to what was going on. And as not fun of a story as this one is, that swimming pool actually was where I was going to be committing suicide. I was done. I was over. I was like, dude, I can't take it. So I was just going under the water, and I was like, man, it's peaceful, and it's getting so much better, and I don't have to deal with this pain. I don't have to deal with heartbreak. I don't have to deal with any of this shit. And I was just like, you know what? I think this is the way to go. And as I jumped up out of the water, and just was, about to do it, about to just go to sleep, the phone was playing Slipping into Darkness by War. That song is what inspired Good Whiskey Films, the commercial business. It felt like a fresh start. You know, it felt like something that was worth sticking around for and something that I could do. You know, it was a start. It was something I could change, that even if it wasn't big, even if it was going, something I could just latch onto and try to make myself feel like I was worth something. And it worked. From then on, I listened. Anytime a song came on that said something, I took it for serious. I took it as something that I need to follow. And so from that point, I've been able to do a lot of amazing things. So now it's a complete and total ritual. I mean, these headphones, I sit there with this MP3 player. This is one of them. I got, oh goodness, now I can't get it. This is one of them. I got a lot of them. But I just sit down every morning, throw on the tunes, and I'll either start it with a question about whatever I'm bothered about or whatever I'm concerned about, whether it's a career, whatever it is. And I'll ask, you know, how should I feel about this today? And it tells me, you know, what direction should I go today? What should I be doing today? You know, even if I'm feeling really down, you know, then I'll ask, you know, what do I do with my life? How should I feel about my life? What's my life gonna look like? Whatever. Call it superstition, call it, you know, ridiculous. But this thing has been strangely accurate. And it's something that I think people need to do themselves in their own way. This is my method. This is how I do it. But asking the universe, whatever you ask the universe is what you're going to get out of it. You can't get anything if you don't ask for it. You know, everybody thinks they need to do it for themselves or they need to make their own way or whatever, you know. But man, if you were gifted, you know, $500,000, you are $500,000 richer and you can do something with that $500,000. But by the time you earn $500,000, chances are you probably can't do nothing with it. That's a bad tale for most people. So I take this as a gift and as something that helps just steer the ship. And so I ask, every day I ask for what I want. I ask for the direction I want to go. I ask for what I need for my family. I ask for what I need for myself. And my ship is steered by this musical train. So every single morning, I listen to music and I ask what's up. Yep.
Let's make this love last till Valentine's. Let's spend this night together. Let this fire burn inside our hearts. Let us soak in all the pleasure. Now that the rain is slowly pitter-patting, we are lost inside our lover's nest. We don't need the world, we just need us. What if we'd stay like this forever? These wine-colored